Uh, Honorable Senators, I want to now welcome the CS of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management, CS Moses Kuria, and your team. Welcome to the Senate. There is one question only for you from the Senator for Kirinyaga County, Senator James Murango. And this question will be asked on his behalf by Senator Veronica Maina. You can have your seat as CS. Let her ask the question, and then I'll give you the opportunity to give you your reply. Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I ask this question on behalf of Senator James Murango, Senator for Kirinyaga County. Honorable CS, what criteria is used by the ministry to categorize and gazette areas as hardship zones in the country? And could the Cabinet Secretary state why Mwea constituency in Kirinyaga County has not been gazetted as a hardship zone, considering the adverse conditions in most parts of the constituency? And B, when does the ministry intend to classify Mwea constituency as a hardship area in order to compensate public servants who serve in the region under adverse conditions? Those are the two questions.
CS, I can see you have a comprehensive response, but because of the time, maybe you can see how you can summarize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I know your intellect capacity of summarizing so many issues, so this should be one of them.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, and honorable senators. The Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management appreciates the role of the Senate in terms of providing oversight, which ultimately makes us a better public servant. Mr. Speaker, in response to the question by Senator for Kirinyaga, Senator Joseph Kamau Murango, on what criteria is used by the ministry to categorize and gazette areas as hardship zones in the country, and on whether as to why Mwea constituency in Kirinyaga County has not been gazetted as a hardship area, considering the advanced conditions in most parts of the county. In terms of the criteria used, Honorable Speaker, the first criteria is availability or lack of it of food and accessibility to food, an availability and inaccessibility or otherwise of water, transport and communication service in terms of adequacy, social services, whether they are available or accessible, climate conditions for that particular area, and the terrain harshness of that area, and security or high possibility of security threats in a particular area. And finally, Mr. Speaker, is severity of poverty. Mr. Speaker, Mwea constituency has not been gazetted as a hardship area because the government is addressing the challenges of the existing disparities in designated hardship areas across the public service, and has undertaken a study to review and harmonize the designated hardship areas across the public service. Gazettement of the hardship areas and implementation of the designated hardship areas will be undertaken upon approval by Cabinet, and this matter is currently before Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, as to when the ministry intends to classify Mwea constituency as a hardship area in order to compensate public servants who serve in the region under adverse conditions. Mr. Speaker, the government is addressing the challenges of the existing disparities in designated hardship areas across the public service and has undertaken a study to review the same and harmonize the designated hardship areas across the public service. Gazettement of the hardship areas, implementation of the same is currently under consideration by Cabinet and with guidance from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, CS. Senator Veronica, you just have your seat. Mr. CS, you can have your seat. Do you want to ask the two supplementary questions now, or maybe I give a chance to a few senators, then you can come in?
Give the chance to a few senators, then we can ask, clarify.
Senator Wamatinga Waume. Yeri, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me start, Mr. Speaker, by congratulating the CS. He has a way of whichever docket he gets, then he shines in it. My question goes in the same note of this National Youth Service, where he pronounced himself that he'll make it a kind of a military outfit. I have some few willing men who would want to do the same. Maybe he can outline that, how he's going, especially in the marginalized areas, to ensure that indeed even youth from there access the services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you can just make your statement on that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Speaker for Nyeri. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, we have pronounced ourselves on the new direction for the National Youth Service. The re-engineering agenda of the National Youth Service, which we are undertaking, is premised on 4 key pillars. The first pillar is the pillar of paramilitary training and regimentation. This is important because we have to impart on our young people with the right social, patriotic wiring so that they become good citizens capable of driving the country forward. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, currently we have got around 10,000 servicemen and women serving under the paramilitary service within the National Youth Service. By end of this financial year, we are going to recruit 20,000 youths, and then in the year 2024-25, we go to 40,000 youths, 25-26, 60,000 youths, and ultimately get to 100,000 youth by the year 2027. Honorable Speaker, the second pillar, and before even I leave on the first pillar, is on the issue of regimentation. Regimentation, simply put, Mr. Speaker, is that we put these youth under clusters, just like it happens within our disciplined forces of the police force, of the military, so that they can be able to work together and cross-socialize each other with positive behavior and patriotic angling as we prepare them to be better citizens. Honorable Speaker, the second pillar of our re-engineering agenda within the National Youth Service is what we are calling contribution towards national service. Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of opportunities within government where our youth can be used to offer those services. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, tomorrow we will be in Kitale, in Trans Nzoia County, with the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and our National Youth Service, where we have up to 6,000 acres of maize that is ready for harvesting that would have otherwise gone to waste from the Agricultural Development Corporation and the Kenya Seed Company. 5 million kilograms of seed that would have actually gone to waste. And tomorrow, we will be descending on that particular area with hundreds of youth who are going to harvest that maize, prevent it from going to waste, and therefore save money and time and a lot of resources, while actually helping the country to, in terms of food security. As you know, we are coming from a season of very debilitating hunger. The reason I'm giving that example, Mr. Speaker, is just to give you an example of where can you expect to find the green uniform. You'll find them in our farms, doing the farms. You'll find them guarding our offices. You'll find them planting our trees. You'll find them cleaning our markets. You'll find them even in areas that we don't have a lot of experience, like mining and blue economy. We want to engage our youth to offer services to other government departments as part of this national service. The third pillar, Mr. Speaker, we cannot do that unless we impart upon our youth vocational and technical knowledge. So our third pillar is on vocational and technical skills, which we are going to accelerate. We are already doing that to teach them and train them in some of these areas where we expect them to offer national service. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is on the issue of commercialization of the National Youth Service. Even for our county governments, for our private sector, for our members of parliament, National Assembly through CDF, you can expect that going forward, the National Youth Service, through what we are setting up, National Youth Service Enterprises, is going to offer the same service which private sector is offering. The only difference is that we can get these jobs on a G2G basis with other state corporations, with county governments, with the national government CDF, with the GAF and all other bodies, with international, even going out there, because the issue of youth unemployment is so serious, is so urgent, it is actually the biggest threat we have to our security and our long-term prosperity as a country. And so therefore, the National Youth Service is going to be not the only, but the major catalyst to solving the problem of youth unemployment. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Let's get another supplementary question from Senator Dedito John Kenywa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary, Moses Kuria, for the way he has elaborated the question posed by Senator for Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, I want him to clarify what is the unit that he uses to put as a hardship area, Mr. Speaker. Is it constituency? Is it county? Is it sub-county, Mr. Speaker? I'm saying that because, Mr. Speaker, you can come to a constituency which is true. Some part of that constituency has got what is impossible to get food, Mr. Speaker. There is insecurity, Mr. Speaker, and we have impassable roads, Mr. Speaker. But equally, in the same constituency, Mr. Speaker, you have the opposite of the same. There is no problem with security. The roads are good. There is plenty of food, Mr. Speaker. So I wanted to know what unit are they using? Because, Mr. Speaker, the correct unit from where I sit is sublocation, because that's the smallest unit, Mr. Speaker, of administration in the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Because if you talk about the constituency, Mr. Speaker, it will be unfair for some people who will be getting the benefit of getting hardship allowance, Mr. Speaker, while others are not getting the same, Mr. Speaker. I wanted that clarity, Mr. Speaker.
CS, respond to that as well.
Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the question from Senator from Laikipia, and I do understand why he would be very much concerned about that, because Senator of Laikipia comes from a county of disparities with some very productive area which can feed this country, and other area which depends on relief food from some area which literally translated means comfort yourself, because there's nobody to comfort you, an area called Uyomereri. Honorable Speaker, the way we have clarified the areas, we are using the location as a lowest unit. I appreciate that we need to go lower on the sublocation, we will keep on revising. In the first phase, we are going to, the guidance we are going to release are depending on the location. I totally subscribe to the view that we need to make the sublocation to be the lowest unit because of the disparities we have. And second thing, there's nothing stopping us from it. There's nothing difficult. There's no rocket science to it. We have got sublocation data now within our Huduma system, the census that we took. It is possible for the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics to give us data all the way to sublocation level. My request and my view is once we do this, because I'm going to do it, then probably you need to treat us all equally and ask the people who are doing also the equalization fund to follow suit and do it at sublocation level. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for the elaborate response. Now, Senator Bugwa George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me first welcome and congratulate the CS and welcome him to the Senate. He's a man I've known for the better part of my life, and I'm sure he's going to do a good job in his new docket. Mr. CS, we are talking about hardship area. You've talked about scarcity of food. I am aware that the National Youth Service own large tracts of land all over Kenya, including Samburu County, and that land is idle. I would want you to appraise this House what plan you have on commercialization of this idle land so that we can help the country in solving the food problem. At the same time, CS, I would want you to tell this House what plans you have for people with disability joining the NYS, because we are only recruiting the able-bodied, and somebody like me, and you know me for a very long time, you cannot recruit me. Thank you.
I'm not sure whether you want to join the National Youth Service or you are talking on behalf of the other young men who are born differently. Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the question from the Honorable nominated Senator George Mugwa. You can expect, Senator, that the biggest farmer in this country will be the National Youth Service. We are going to utilize all our existing land, including the land in Samburu that you've talked about. Tomorrow, because of the partnership that we'll be launching with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Agricultural Development Corporation, Kenya Seed Corporation, we are also going to discuss with them how they will also will release land from them in areas like Garana, Kulalu, and you can expect that the next big provider, supplier of food, of maize for the local market and for the export market is going to be the National Youth Service. Honorable Speaker, we are discussing with the county government to deploy the National Youth Service. We have got counties which have already given us land to do seed propagation within the counties, to move from the current system where our counties, our farmers in the counties are expecting seedlings to be supplied from Nairobi, which I find not acceptable because it's the other way around. We have started with the county of Siaya, where the governor of Siaya has offered 70 acres to start a seed propagation farm in Ugenya constituency for this purpose. Mr. Speaker, we have come from a situation of famine, of hunger, of food scarcity. In my considered opinion, this need not be the case. We need to have some intervention from government to complement what our hard-working farmers are doing. And it is my commitment to the country that through the National Youth Service, we'll be able to match our especially subsistence farmers and our medium-sized farmers, especially in the North Rift. The total output from farmers on individual basis is going to be matched one-to-one by the National Youth Service so that we have got a reliable source of food. Mr. Speaker, within the next 2 to 3 years, you can expect that we are, National Youth Service is going to assist the country either working alone or even through public-private partnership working with foreign partners to be able to do food production. There has been a lot of interest, Mr. Speaker, from foreign investors who would want to come and do agriculture and help the country to be self-sufficient in food production and as well to have food for export. What they have been looking for, and I know that from my previous assignment, is a worthy partner who can be able to partner with them to be able to farm together because of local knowledge and the local situation. The National Youth Service is going to enter into partnership with the international investors to come and work with them. They bring in their capital, they bring in their equipment, we bring in our labor, we bring in our local knowledge and satisfy this country in terms of food availability and food security, and also earn this country foreign exchange through food export. Mr. Speaker, the second question from Senator George Bugwa on the people who are specially abled. It is a policy of the National Youth Service to reserve up to 20% of all the recruitment to people who are specially abled. And especially now, because of the commercial activities we'll be undertaking, some of them can be undertaken very properly by people who are specially abled. We have even some people who are specially able now working with our garment and apparel manufacturing unit at the National Youth Service, which is already providing the bulk of the uniforms that our police, our Kenya Defense Forces, our Kenya Wildlife Service Rangers are using. They are already being made from the National Youth Service. We are going to expand on that as we do all these activities, including business process outsourcing, where we have agreed with the Kenya Revenue Authority. Recently, you saw Kenya Revenue Authority recruit some revenue service agents from across the country to work with people, taxpayers, to expand the tax base. And National Youth Service has been requested by the Kenya Revenue Authority to undertake this service on behalf of the Kenya Revenue Authority, thus providing even much more opportunities for our young people. And in doing so, we're also going to establish a very huge back office to support bodies like Kenya Revenue Authority. We have got the custom scanning, which they are ready to give to us. Ministry of Lands in terms of digitalization of lands records. We want to work with judiciary. All these are people who can give us jobs, which can be done not only by people who are able-bodied, but also people who are of special ability. And I want to assure you that on Senator George Bugwa, if I receive your application to join the service, I will give it consideration, given we were together from high school. The only thing is that it's unfortunate that you are past the age of being recruited there. I submit.
Next is Senator Oloba Magoma Kuria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, let me take this opportunity to congratulate our CS, Moses Kuria, for the new appointment. Many don't know that he contributed during his time in his former ministry to really help rally people to support the cause of period poverty, and I appreciate that. I have a follow-up question in terms of the commercialization of the National Youth Service. For purposes of clarity, because it's a question that has been asked, is there a policy that gives a certain percentage to the National Youth Service a priority in terms of national projects? As you have told us that now the National Youth Service is being called upon by KRA, by different other entities of government. But I'm wondering if there's an actual policy that says that a certain percentage, same way we have AGPO ring-fencing 30% to a certain constituency of enterprises. And another, and actually, CS, the other reason I ask this is we know we as a government, as the Kenya Kwanza government, we have promised to deliver certain things such as 100 dams. And if you look at the cost of using the National Youth Service against the cost of going out to procure services from other commercial entities, we actually save a lot. So if there is a policy, maybe you can highlight that. And then National Youth Service, as it is being commercialized, I suppose that the idea is to make it one of the biggest employers. That way we can deal with the crisis of our youth not having jobs. If that is the case, is there also a policy or some structure in terms of growth within National Youth Service so that, you know, the last opportunity that came about, I was calling upon youth and asking them, there's an opportunity to join National Youth Service, but there seems to be some negative form that National Youth Service doesn't pay well or doesn't pay at all. So maybe that's something that you can also highlight and make us aware if there's growth within the National Youth Service as an employer.
Yes, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the question from nominated Senator Gloria Roba. In terms of the policy for ensuring that we have got some ring-fenced allocation for the National Youth Service in the national service jobs, that policy is currently being worked on by my ministry in conjunction with Treasury and with the guidance from...
Senator, sorry, Honorable CS. Senator Chalage, you know this is not your farm in Nandi. This is the Senate. You cannot just crisscross the way you want. And you are a ranking member in this House. Proceed, Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, as I have said, the policy is currently being worked on. We have got a team that is working on both the policy and putting up proper structures for setting up of the NYS enterprises. This effort is being led by none other than His Excellency the President, the Presidential Economic Team, my ministry, and Treasury. As we speak also, we have got a committee of up to 11 principal secretaries that we have set up. Each principal secretary giving us an indication of the jobs available in each state department. We have some early successes in agriculture, as I've mentioned, in irrigation, in the dams, as the Senator has mentioned, in offering security services in our buildings. Really very promising and a very exciting time for our youth. So the policy that we are working on in conjunction with putting up the framework for affirmative action along the lines of AGPO is going to go a long way in ensuring that through the National Youth Service we are able to absorb many more young people, impart them with the right skills, give them some meaningful work, and ultimately release them to the market in a way that they can be able to be more employable, or even to create some entrepreneurs out of them so that they can also employ other young people. Honorable Speaker, on the question of the upward mobility for the National Youth Service, because this is a very pertinent issue. Honorable Speaker, we are working on mobility in several ways. One, already, you remember there was an instance where the Kenya Defense Forces ring-fenced 300 positions to be filled up by graduates or from the National Youth Service, and 10,000 of them turned up for the interview. We require now to bring in police and KDF to maintain security. That was a pointer of some, the situation as it is, and what we are doing now, we are sensitizing people from a security sector to use the National Youth Service as a career progression when they are recruiting. We have had early successes on that. Subject to availability of budget, the National Police Service is going to recruit a cadre of 3,000 policemen and women coming exclusively from the recruits coming from the National Youth Service. The Kenya Wildlife Service has already approved within its board, upon our request, to recruit in the next 2 months 1,500 servicemen and women for the Kenya Wildlife Service who will be recruited exclusively from the National Youth Service. We are also working to expand our Huduma centers, which also fall within my ministry, from the current 53 to a minimum of 1,000, and each of them providing a minimum of 5 jobs for the young people of this country, so that also that becomes another breeding ground for youths who are better for the future. So in a nutshell, Honorable Speaker, we are now using the outreach and sensitization method as we work on a policy and ultimately into a law that is going to actually ensure that we give some quota mandatory to the National Youth Service as we create upward mobility for our young people. Mr. Speaker, let me finish by mentioning that Kenya School of Government, which is also within my ministry, we are working with them to ensure that we create some higher qualification for young people who excel within the National Youth Service to be able to be trained by Kenya School of Government so that they can now also join the mainstream civil service, and we give them the first right of refusal or acceptance, because everybody in this country deserves a chance. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Mariam Sheikh Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mine is on recruitment, CS. Recruitment of National Youth Service. I realize marginalized counties, specifically Northern Kenya, the numbers is 0%. 2% or 1%. Is there a criteria on your is there a criteria you are using so that we be equal to 47 counties? Thank you.
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I appreciate the question from the Honorable Senator. The policy and framework of recruitment is based on the location level. So you will never find a location in this country where you don't have somebody getting an opportunity from the National Youth Service. What there is that some areas, they don't want to join the National Youth Service. My advice to them is National Youth Service is now the gateway for you to join our disciplined forces, to join our public service, and if I have my way, and supported by this parliament, I'll even make it mandatory for anybody working in the public service to first of all go through the National Youth Service and Kenya School of Government. So I'm happy to get any details of any particular location in this country which has never had any opportunity. And should that come to my attention, that is not a matter of policy. It is either the youth did not turn up to register to join the National Youth Service, and if it is for any other denial of that opportunity, I commit to this House to do thorough investigation and to take the remedial action. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Chalagay Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the onset, I want to congratulate Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Performance and Delivery Management for being appointed to this docket, CS Moses Kuria. Mine is just is to find out from the CS emanating from this question. In case, because I've seen his response, in case he will gazette which criteria, and I've seen the parameters. Mr. Speaker, you are aware we normally use a Commission of Revenue Allocation formula, and even we pass conditional and additional funds to marginalized wards. For example, here in Kiambu, in Deia, in Kiambu County, should be benefiting from that additional funds, for example. In Nandi, a place like Terik Ward, Chepterway Ward, although in Kapchorwa, Soba Songa, and Chemelil Chemas Ward benefits, but Kapsimat Ward does not benefit. To many people, Nandi County might look that it's a land of honey and milk. So what strategies as the CS and how long will it take, Mr. Speaker, to classify and ensure all civil servants, including teachers and other government employees, are able to be given hardship allowance, Mr. Speaker, so that they benefit from this process, and also ensure, Mr. Speaker, that they work together, because Senate is a protector of devolution, with the CRA formula, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the issue of NYS, finally, I heard the CS, because it's one.
Chelge, you know
it's,
you have
it's
only
one,
one supplementary.
It's one question. It's joined. I'm just finishing
There's
it up.
no way
It's joined.
hardship allowance can be equated again to NOS.
I'm developing so that I find out, so that
No,
from the CS,
they are not related
maybe,
at all.
Mr. Speaker, in quick succession, with your indulgence, is that the CS had promised the nation that he is negotiating with National Police and KDF to ensure that the NYS recruit who undergo parliamentary training service to be given priority in recruitment. Mr. Speaker, can he give a commitment that he has going into the future of site recruitment? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the indulgence.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the question from the Senator for Nandi. The question is very pertinent because indeed some of the places that he has mentioned, like Karai Ward and Deya Ward, locations within Kiabu County, and in fact Terik location within Nandi County are in the draft proposal to be included, that is currently undergoing cabinet approval. Mr. Speaker, the good thing is that this draft already has undergone through public participation, so there was comprehensive public participation to be able to get the views of the public, and I also want to fully support what Senator Nandi has said, that, and I had mentioned it in my opening answer about the need to harmonize all these formulas. I have a formula because of something called hardship allowance. Somebody else has something called for enhanced allowance. That is the Teacher Service Commission. CRA has got another definition for another purpose. Somebody else has got a definition because of the equalization fund. Somebody else has it because of drought mitigation. So I agree, and I'm going to work with my colleagues within the executive so that you can have one definition that is coherent across all uses, so that you don't have people defining hardship, for their own expediency. In regards to the discussions we're having with the Kenya Defence Force, National Police Service, and other discipline forces, KWS, Kenya Forestry Service, indeed now this has been embraced by all these formations under the leadership of His Excellency the President, that National Youth Service needs to be the catchment area for the future from which anybody who is going to join our discipline force is going to come from. Let me just give one of why this is important. This is important because if you take a youth who has gone through 6 months of paramilitary training by the National Youth Service, by the time they get to Kiganjo for the police training, they will cut the training time from 9 months to 4 months. That's saving on cost and ensuring that you can deploy faster. So there is even a justification. It's not just a favor. There's a justification, there's a value proposition that it makes much more sense to recruit from the National Youth Service because they have already been trained, they have been gone through the basic drills that they would otherwise have gone to if they would have joined from day one from these discipline forces. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, we should be now because we'll be concluding the issues with the CS public service. Let us have the last two, and then I will call upon Senator Veronica Maina to ask a supplementary question. Senator Mandago, Jackson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity, and thank you, Honourable CS. My question to the CS, supplementary question in regard to equal opportunity in public service, is that, Honourable Speaker, we are seeing a trend in recruitment in public service that is worrying and a threat to cohesion of this country. Honourable Speaker, in all the recruitments that have happened recently, we don't see equity in the distribution of the available position, creating a serious frustration in various young people in the country. Honourable Speaker, I would like to know from the CS, Public Service Management, on the recently advertised about 8,000 internship positions through the Public Service Commission, how they are going to be equitably distributed across the country. Honourable Speaker, from my small mathematics, if they are to even distribute per constituency, every constituency in this country will receive at least 30 slots for internship in public service. We would like to see equity in recruitment of public servants across the public service, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable CS.
Honourable Speaker, let me appreciate that question from the Senator for Uasin-Gishu County. Honourable Speaker, indeed the issue of equity and equitability in the distribution of available employment opportunities in the public sector and in the public service especially has been a matter of concern. It has been expressed severally, especially in the recent few months, and indeed is an issue that I am seized of. Honourable Speaker, our Constitution vests the mandate of recruitment of public servants with the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission is an independent constitutional commission, has got the unfettered sole responsibility for this recruitment. We are working very closely with the Public Service Commission to achieve two things primarily. First is to ensure that we have got a fair allocation of all existing positions across the country. Of course, not equally, because there are other considerations, for example, population, that have to be factored in. But to have a formula that is scientific, that is measurable, and that is visible out there, that is coherent, that is defensible, that is understandable. So that one, we want to give that commitment, and I have the commitment of the chairman of the Public Service Commission that that is a risk that we owe this country. The second thing that we want to achieve, Honourable Speaker, is on the issue of transparency and visibility. We have a slogan we have given to this, using the language of the young people. We are calling it Jobo Bila Connection, that it is possible for any young person in this country to aspire to work for any government department, in ministry, in state corporations, in a university, in any other institution in the public sector, and have the same opportunity as somebody else. You do not have to know someone, you do not have to be connected to someone. That is why we are coming up with a digital platform where all these jobs will be posted. And even the allocation of these jobs within that platform will be distributed up to the location level. That way, if you come from Ngenda location, where I come from, and you try to apply for a job that is for somebody from Uasin-Gishu County, you cannot apply because that job will be reserved even within the technology for somebody from that particular county, and that will be audited and that's verifiable. So digitalization of this recruitment process is very key, so that also we can share these results. Anybody can log in and see it publicly, that in this location they got 5 slots, whether for jobs or for internship. That's why we are saying, for you to access this job digitally, you need an internet connection. That is the only connection you need to get a job, not connection to someone. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Joe Nyutu. Senator Wamuranga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also place my question to the CS Public Service. And if you allow me, I would want to first congratulate him on the posting to this new ministry, and wish him well, even as he cuts and cultivates a new image of a CEO far from the image of a politician. Mr. Speaker, I would want, having said that, to ask the CS whether he is aware that there are some teachers or trainers, if you may, serving in technical institutes. But these are teachers that are employed by the Public Service Commission, different from their colleagues who serve under the TSC. And Mr. Speaker, knowing and understanding that TSC is a body mandated with the employment and management of teachers, does the CS think that his ministry is competent to deal with the teachers? And does he think that the teachers that are serving under the PSC should remain there, or for the welfare of the teachers and the institutions that they serve, whether they should be surrendered to the TSC? Mr. Speaker, that is my question to this Honorable CS.
The Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate that question from the Senator from Muranga. Honorable Speaker, as I've mentioned, recruitment to the public service is the constitutional body for the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission is an independent commission under our Constitution. Recruitment of teachers and management of the human resource affairs of our teachers is the preserve of the Teacher Service Commission. Teacher Service Commission is also another independent body, indeed a constitutional commission. The rules are very well defined by the Constitution. Unless the Constitution is amended, our lanes are very well defined. My role is defined in terms of developing policy and handing over that policy to the Public Service Commission. We work independently, but interdependently. We don't work in isolation, we don't work in silos. We consult from time to time. And I believe that from my ministry to the Public Service Commission, Teacher Service Commission, the Constitution demands of us to work together, even if we are independent. Independence is not existing in isolation. So we are mandated to work together, and we do consult from time to time. Let me also mention that Senator Muranga has talked about the image of a CEO, not the image of a politician. If I am asked to choose which image I want the image of a politician, because only a politician understands the problem of this country. Only a politician knows that people go without food. And when I go to Muranga, I hear people of Muranga saying, no Nyutu, no Nyutu, no Nyutu, means I have to take him very seriously. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No. No, what is your, no. You know, a CS cannot be out of order, but maybe what you want is maybe to put it in English, what he meant by non-you. But because he is not on the floor, let me interpret for you. When he gets to Muranga, people usually say, it is new too, it is new too, it is new too. That is no new too. Yeah. So, Senator Veronica Duarte Maina, ask you a supplementary question as we conclude with the CS.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the Honourable Cabinet Secretary for the intensive answers that he has given to the question that was brought by the Senator for Kirinyaga County. I will ask one question, or maybe it has two questions in one. First, I have looked at the data that you have given in your response and the statistics that are being used, especially for the Ministry of Education, was the legal notice of 1997. So it has designated about 44 areas, hardship areas, and increasingly with the climate change issues, the adverse effect of climate change, the ravaging effect of climate change has caused many areas to fall within the category of hardship zones. And if I would cite one as an example, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, is an area called Ithanga, which is in Gatanga, which is a very dry area and would meet all the conditions that are set down as parameters that you weigh, that are weighed before an area is declared a hardship area. And that is just one example. And places maybe like Mwea and many other places, Honorable Cabinet Secretary. Now, CS, the delay or the slow pace at which these areas are being declared will eventually mean that they cannot have targeted programs even to make interventions that would make the areas better, not just for the public servant, the public service employees, but also for other intervening programs that would then help the areas to attract resources that then helps to alleviate them from the hardship zone, from the red zone to a better zone. What is your ministry doing to ensure that the review of what the hardship areas is done in a timely fashion and to match the ravaging climate change effects? Because if the review is slower than the effects of the climate change, then are we being fair to those regions that have fallen within the hardship areas, but then years have passed and there is no decision yet from the cabinet designating those areas as hardship zones?
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I appreciate that question from nominated Senator Veronica Maina. Honorable Speaker, indeed, it's not acceptable that this process has taken 1 year. It is my commitment that within the next 3 months, this process will have gone through cabinet, will have been concluded, so that indeed the disparities that the Senator has talked about are addressed. It is not only some areas which have not been classified, and they ought to be classified as hardship areas. It is also an opportunity for even those areas that have ceased to be hardship to be declassified. You know, some situations have changed. Economies has improved in those particular areas. We've got some very rich areas which are still existing as hardship area, and they need to be removed so that we give way to some areas which now also qualify to be termed as hardship area. So that is what we are doing. That's my commitment, Honorable Senator, that within the next 3 months from today, that is by the end of the month of January, this matter will have been dispensed by cabinet and it will be gazetted and implemented. Honorable Speaker, I don't know if I'll get another chance to put my closing remarks or I can.
Actually, the right time.
Okay. Let me take this opportunity to thank this House, this Honorable House, this dignified House for giving me this opportunity. Let me finish by saying that we are all public servants, and all of you are under my control. If you have not received your salary, you know, I would very much interested to know if you have got any welfare problems. All the 900,000 of us who work in the public service are my business. It's a very fulfilling job, knowing that ultimately we work for all other 54 million Kenyans. And I'm trying to transition our public service from being an arena or a source of public employment. A lot of us are saying we are in public service. No, we are just in public employment. We need to transition from being in public employment to being in public service so that you can be able to serve this country better. Honorable Speaker, my docket also includes State Department for Performance and Delivery Management. Simply put, it is my responsibility. If government is not performing, it is me to be held accountable. If you're not delivering on our projects across whichever ministry, from fisheries to camels, from water to air, wherever they are, performance and delivery are my business. And so therefore, I want to encourage this House to call me many times. If you have any problem with any ministry or state department, then I will do what I must do. Thank you, Honorable Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, CS. CS, you know, you are one person who is very flexible indeed. And you joined the ministry just the other day, but the way you understand what is happening in the ministry is fantastic. The NYS, about the handship issues, it's like maybe you knew that you'll be transformed to that ministry, so you started learning about the ministry, maybe the first time you were appointed in trend. So thank you very much for your time and for your good response. I think transforming public service is what is really needed in this country. And this House will support you in whatever way we can so that you'll be able to perform. And all the best in your endeavors. Senate is your friend. There is a time you are told you don't appear here when you're in train, but now you can see you are the best friend of the Senate. So tuko pamoja kwa kazi yako. Asante sana waziri. Honorable Senators, the business appearing under number 8 has been deferred to the next time, so we are now on order number 9.
Order number 9, motion, repossession of movable assets by lending institutions due to non-performing loans.
Is Senator Wamatinga ready to move the motion?